So episode 5 of The Mandalorian starts off the second half of season 3 pretty strong. It's definitely the best episode so far. Aside from the thrilling action, cool cameo, and Bo-Katan, the best thing about this episode is how it finally pushes the show in a clear direction with a bit of mystery thrown in as well. However, don't be mistaken, I still have plenty of problems with this show. In my last video, I said even if the last 4 episodes are amazing, it won't be enough to redeem the show from its sluggish start, and I still stand by this. People have told me that I'm impatient or I was too hasty to call season 3 bad, but to quote one of my replies, if I'm being served an 8-course meal and the first 4 dishes are shit, even if the next 4 are delicious, it won't be enough for me to forget the taste of shit. I'm telling you, if this show wasn't Star Wars, I would have stopped watching by now. But here I am, making a video about every episode. So let's dive straight into episode 5 because I actually enjoyed this one to some degree. Although to start off, I will say that I like Greef Karga a little less now. It's cool how he became an honorable leader for the Navarro people, but I feel like he should have been more prepared for this pirate attack. Like, you killed multiple pirates in the streets and you didn't think they would retaliate? You know their ship is in your atmosphere. Why are you just casually changing the infrastructure of Navarro and not planning for the inevitable attack? And speaking of attack, I do like how brutal the bombardment of Navarro is. I do wish it was a little more graphic and some of the villagers actually died on screen, but it still made the pirates look like somewhat of a threat. But we'll come back to the pirates later. For now, I want to talk about this scene. I love this so much. The world building around this rebel base feels so immersive and real. It's just so cool to see where the rebel pilots would hang out and grab a drink in between missions. Carson Teva is a simple, good character. His motives are clear, and it's cool to get his perspective on the state of the New Republic. Like I've said before, show me the common man in Star Wars. It's way more interesting than this crap. From his keen intuition to his relationship with Din, Carson really does pass the vibe check, and I hope we get to see more of him. Of course, everyone is talking about this cameo, and while I will say I don't like Zeb in Rebels, this cameo was pretty damn cool. The CGI on him looks freaking incredible, and I love that Steve Blum came back to voice him. To be honest, this cameo alone makes me want to see more of him in live action, which we probably will, considering this sets up a lot of potential for future shows. Moving on to the New Republic, it's nice to see the Pershing plotline finally come together, even if it's just for this one scene. I like how the more we see of the New Republic, the more we realize just how dysfunctional they really are. However, here's the thing, the New Republic is almost too stupid. Like, I can't really take them seriously because of how dense they are. I've already talked about their incompetence in my episode 3 video, and this is not any better. Like, why is everyone so trustworthy of Elia Kane? She worked with the war criminal, Moff Gideon, and now she gets input on whose lives are worth more?
Sounds like a rather imperial way of thinking.
Captain, you're out of line.
Dude, she's out of line. She shouldn't even be a part of this conversation. I get the New Republic's ignorance is what leads to their downfall, but this feels almost too frustrating to watch, especially when they try to add comedic beats in what should be a rather serious conversation.
They're not a member planet.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs!
Though I will say the tension between these two saves this scene, and I hope we get to see more moments like this. The Mandalorians are by far the stars of this episode. You know, I always loved the idea of a race on the brink of extinction, and I wish the show focused more on this from the very beginning. Because look at this scene. This meeting is actually inspiring to watch. Even though Paz's speech is predictable, it's super wholesome to watch the Mandalorian people come together for Din. I still think there could have been so much more between Paz and Din, but I'll take what I can get at this point. And what's even more rad is that the Mandalorians look like actual badass warriors now. They look so cool dropping in from the gauntlet and taking the pirates by surprise. And also, I just want to say Bo's speech leading into this shot of them coming out of hyperspace is up there with some of the most hype moments in Star Wars. The Mandalorians are what honestly kept me watching this whole episode. The pirates, on the other hand, are still lame as fuck. The only meaningful effects they have on the story is that their defeat gave the Mandalorians a new home, so they're not completely useless. But other than that, they mean nothing and act like typical Disney villain goons. I would compare them to Pirates of the Caribbean, but that would just be an insult to Jack Sparrow. They provide no stakes whatsoever, and even when they lay waste to the city, it doesn't feel like anything serious. Probably because I don't care about Navarro. Cities get destroyed all the time in Star Wars. Why should I care about this one? Compare this to Ferrix in Andor. That show took its time introducing us to the people of Ferrix, which in turn made us actually care about what happens to them. Additionally, and minor spoiler alert here, we never knew if the people of Ferrix were gonna make it, considering a lot of people died in that final battle. Here, I knew exactly what was going to happen the moment Teva talked to Mando. The pirates will be defeated, and the people of Navarro will cheer and welcome the Mandalorians to their new home. This is surface level writing that I expect to find in a Rebels filler episode. At this point, I'm only watching this for the cool fight scenes. Yes, they are exciting to watch, especially the aerial dogfights, but I just want my expectations of the story to be challenged a little more. Of course, Bo-Katan steals the show once again with her final scene. As this scene played out, my only thought was,
we have our heading.
Here we go!
At last, we have a clear goal for this show. Only took 4 episodes, but here we are. Although I do feel bad for Mando. I can only imagine his face when he sees Bo walking with no helmet after he literally drowned trying to redeem himself. I mean, I'd be pissed. But anyway, it looks like Bo is now the main character of this season, and I am totally fine with that. The show's title can now be interpreted as her being the Mandalorian. However, the problem is, she hasn't felt like the main character up until this point. I'm happy she's getting the spotlight, but she should have been in the spotlight since episode 1. I shouldn't have to sit through 4 episodes wondering who the protagonist is. Nonetheless, this is one of the few times where I wish I could watch the next episode immediately, especially after that great cliffhanger. Similar to episode 2, this sets up a lot of potential for the rest of the show. Let's just hope they do it right. In the end, I will say this episode was good. I know I was pretty harsh on episode 4, but honestly the first half of this season just was not good, and it affects how I feel about the rest of the show, regardless of how good the remaining episodes are. I think it'll make more sense if I use this rating system, which I'm calling the rad or bad meter, which is basically a 1 out of 10 scale, but I made it look cooler with this sick looking gradient thing.
Wow.
Anyway, after episode 4, the meter is around here. Pretty low, I know, but after episode 5, it's now here. Better, but still not even halfway to being rad. It will take a lot for this to get above here, but it's not impossible. The point I'm trying to make is that this season has wounded itself so much in the beginning, it will take a medical miracle to bring it back to a spot where I would actually consider rewatching it in the future. To be honest, I realized that in order to watch this show and actually enjoy it, you kinda just have to turn your brain off. Similar to how one would watch Fast and Furious or a Michael Bay movie. I'm not saying people who enjoy this show are brainless, I just feel like you can't be too analytical when consuming this type of media. Unfortunately for me, I have a hard time casually consuming media this way. My dumbass brain constantly wants to figure things out before they happen, sort of like solving a puzzle. This season is not a fun puzzle to solve. Yes, the pieces fit together, but it's a very loose and unsatisfying connection. I've accepted that this season is just a simple sit back and enjoy the action type season. Granted, this show has always been like that, but Season 3 takes away all the charm that Season 1 and 2 had. In Season 1, it was fun to watch a hardened Mando learn to love a force-wielding baby. In Season 2, it was interesting to see Mando become a father to Grogu, and even more so let him go for his own good. In Season 3, it's like Disney said, people like the Mandalorian because Din and Grogu are fun and cute, so let's keep them together. But that's not why we love the Mandalorian. We love the show because of the journey they endured together. There is no journey for them now. Din doesn't even do anything anymore, and Grogu is treated even worse. He has not changed a single bit since he reunited with Din in Book of Boba Fett, which we all agree should have never happened in the first place. It's just sad to see a character with so much potential get shafted this bad. Even with 3 episodes to go, I find it hard to believe they will do anything meaningful with Grogu. Though despite this, I'm still looking forward to that next episode, hoping it will raise that meter a little more. Let me know what you think about this episode, and be sure to check out my previous videos on The Mandalorian if you haven't already. Feel free to subscribe to see my video on episode 6, and thank you very much for watching this video. I'll catch you next time.